You know what's funny? Everyone has an opinion about your life. Even people who haven't taken a single step in your shoes, haven't spoken to you in years, and all they really do is learn about you through your Instagram story. And somehow, we let those people's opinions rattle us at best and maybe even define us at the worst. And the thing is, most people's opinions just suck. Not because they're negative or bad per se, but because their opinions are filtered through their own experiences, their own beliefs, their preferences, which is something I really want to talk about, insecurities, fears, unhealed wounds. And whenever someone judges you, criticizes you, or tells you you're doing it wrong, it usually has a lot less to do with you and a lot more to do with them and what's going on inside their heads and their lives. And the hardest part, or the thing that's just super tricky, is we can't control that at all. Like, we really can't control other people. We can't stop people from projecting. We can't stop people from misunderstanding us. And what we can do is change the way we receive those opinions or those thoughts or those pieces of unwanted feedback that somehow keep coming your way. Because when you stop living for other people's approval, you're finally going to start living for your own potential. The first thing that we really need to understand is people's opinions aren't facts. Just because I say something or someone you know say something about your life or yourself or the way you do something, it doesn't mean that is the source of truth. And it's crazy that I'm even having to say this, but I get it. Like, when someone you care about gives you a piece of feedback or shares their opinion with you, of course we're going to care. We're human, and it makes sense to care. Like, obviously you wouldn't be friends with this person, or you wouldn't have them in your life if you genuinely didn't care about a single thing that they said. But the thing is, when someone gives you their opinion about your life, it's not a fact. It's a reflection and a projection of what they think and what they believe is going on and what they believe is possible, and mostly what their preferences are. What they think is right or wrong, what they fear might happen if they tried what you're doing. So when someone gives you their opinion about your life, it's not a fact. Like, it really isn't. It's just a reflection of them. It's a reflection of what they believe is possible, their preferences, what they think is right or wrong, which is very much shaped by their worldviews, and no one's going to have the exact same experiences as you do. It'll also play into what they fear might happen if they tried doing what you're trying to do. If someone tells you your dream is unrealistic, that doesn't mean it is. It just means that they can't see it for themselves, or it doesn't fit their preferences, or it doesn't fit their worldview of how things should be done. Their preferences end up becoming the truth. And it's like squeezing an orange. If you get an orange, or I don't know, I had a mango earlier today. You can get a mango. Mango juice is good. If you get an orange / mango, and you squeeze it, you're going to get orange juice, because that's what's inside. So when people get squeezed by life, they're going to spill out judgment, anger, fear, criticism, and it's probably just because that's exactly what's inside them, especially when you get opinions that are completely unsolicited, and you don't really understand why they're even giving you that feedback or thought, because you never asked in the first place. So why do you want to be influenced by those types of people? For me, getting criticism hit pretty hard when I started making content online. I've been creating content for a while now, but previously the content didn't really involve my thoughts and opinions. It was very much like on nature and photography. But now, the second I begin to share a bit more about myself and my ideas and my thoughts and my creativity and what I think could potentially help people, a lot of criticism came out of nowhere. And you might just feel this too in your lives. Like, people will start saying like these classic sentences like, oh, like, who do you think you are to talk about this stuff? Or, oh, your videos are so cringe. Or the classic one that I hear a lot from family as well is, you've changed. And it's not always in the nicest way. And what hurt the most wasn't the words themselves. It was the fact that I started to kind of believe them. Not for very long, but for that split second, and it was enough to make me doubt myself. And I began to hold myself back. I'd rethink posting. I'd post less. I'd second guess every shot that I was doing. I would sometimes dread posting content, or I would like hyperfixate over making sure I choose the right audio because this other audio might rub someone else the wrong way. I'd spend hours editing, and I'd think, okay, what if everything that they said was right? What if I've changed in a not good way? What if this is just really cringe content and no one actually cares or wants to see this? And that is the point where you fall into the trap. That's what caring a bit too much about what other people think does, and it makes you shrink. It makes you hesitate before doing the thing that you enjoy, or the path you want to follow to be able to get to the place you want to be, whatever that might be. And what ends up happening is you start creating for approval instead of expression. And it kills your potential faster than failure ever could. And anyways, failure is good. I was talking to my mentor recently, and he's also a YouTuber. He has like millions of subscribers, and he said something that really stuck with me. He told me that the amount of opinions that he hears from people about his YouTube or his Instagram or social media or whatever in a single day is probably more than most people will hear from strangers, from randoms, or from like friends of friends or acquaintances, whatever, in their entire life. And that really put things into perspective. And even for someone like him, who's extremely confident, experienced, accomplished, it can still be incredibly damaging if you don't have the tools to handle it. And honestly, even if you do have the tools, it's still hard, because just by knowing how to do something, it still takes time to be able to learn it and adapt it to your specific scenario and environment. Because the thing is, no matter how strong you are, constant criticism will chip away at you if you let it in, and you will stop doing the thing that you want to do, the thing you love, the thing you care about. But here's the thing. People are going to talk anyway. People are always going to talk. And there's hundreds of different reasons as to why. None of them really matter. So you might as well just live a life you love while they do it. Now, it's one thing to say, oh, just ignore it. But that's not real life. It's hard to ignore people's words when they sting, especially from the ones that come from people who you genuinely care about. So instead of trying to just block it out and avoid it and avoid people's opinions and the noise, I started building the resilience within myself. Not reacting, not defending, not fighting back, but just trying to come from somewhat of a place of understanding, but also trying to rationalize why this piece of feedback or opinion is coming my way when it does. Because the thing is, when you react, it's exactly what they're expecting. You're handing them exactly what they want. When you stay calm, when you breathe and you say nothing or walk away, that's the place where real strength lies. Emotional resilience, it isn't just that silence. It's a little bit of a step further. It's being so secure in who you are that someone else's opinion just doesn't fit. It's like, think of a piece of a puzzle. Imagine you've completed this entire 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, right? And you have one piece left, and it's like that piece. It's like a landscape. There's like a river. It's that one piece of water that looks like every single other piece of water, and you see this piece, and this piece is like someone's opinion, and then you see the piece on the table. And you can see the outline of the shape that you're trying to fit. You want to get to the point where that person's opinion just literally will not fit in the jigsaw. And then you start to question, what is going on here? And you realize that, well, this actually just doesn't fit with what I want. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't stick. You hear it, you assess it. And if it doesn't align with who you know yourself to be, you let it go. And of course, in saying all of this, there's still going to be place for people whose opinions actually do deserve a place in your mind. Now, regardless of who it is, before you take any opinion seriously, whether it's some internet troll or someone you knew from high school or acquaintance or like one of your best and closest friends or family members or whoever it might be, there's two things I want you to ask yourself. Does this person actually know me well enough to understand my intentions? And secondly, do they have any experience or credibility in what they're criticizing? If the answer is no, I would not give them the privilege of shaping your self-perception of the things you want to do, the things you love, the things you enjoy. Because the thing is, the first question, like, do they even like know you and understand you truly? Because if they don't, they're not really going to get what you're trying to do. And they're going to see things very differently from you. And there's no point in trying to like get them on your side or get them on your team, because once again, they have a different worldview. They have had different experiences. And although you guys might be really good friends or family and you care about each other, doesn't necessarily mean that what they say is like fact or the source of truth or real. And secondly, do they actually have any credibility or experience in what they're criticizing? If you're someone who, I don't know, swims a lot or gyms, and there's some like a kind of rando who has very like minor experience in either of those things giving you feedback, then like no, if they're just some rando who has no idea what they're talking about, then no, they're like, it's not valid, it's not true, and it really doesn't matter. So don't give them the privilege of shaping your self-perception, especially if you didn't even ask for their thoughts in the first place. And if they weren't an expert, you probably shouldn't be asking them in the first place. Most people who judge you are going to be bystanders. They're not generally people who are going to help build you up. They're going to be the spectators. They like to watch because, well, once again, there could be hundreds of reasons as to why, but they're just not there to be on your team. So don't take advice from someone who's never stepped into the ring like you have. The opinions that end up mattering the most are the ones that come from people who both understand you, understand your heart, and understand your craft. Everyone else is going to be background noise. And if you're not able to tune that background noise out, it'll consume you. And it'll get to the point where you just never live up to your potential. You feel those feelings of like, I know I can do this. I know I have the ability. I know I have the competency, the intellect, the whatever skills. I have those skills, but the thing that stops you is the noise. Sometimes there's going to be people who you do care about deeply who will communicate their opinions and you might not agree with them. And there's ways. And when someone close to you actually crosses a boundary, you don't need to meet them with a level of aggression. You can communicate with clarity and compassion, because you're not going to get anywhere with getting into an argument or a disagreement. And this happens all the time. It used to happen a lot with me and my parents, and most of the time it's with people and their parents or other people in their lives who care about them deeply. But there's this really, really powerful method that I learned in this book called Nonviolent Communication. It's simple, it changes everything, makes it a lot easier, and you kind of just start off by stating what you noticed. So, for example, hey, blank, when you made comments about that, like my work, and then you want to follow with a feeling. I felt really hurt and unsupported. Then you tell them what you need. Because I need to feel safe and respected when I share my ideas. And then you want to pause and ask for something. Could you give feedback in a way that helps me grow instead of tearing me down? Now that example might work with friends, family, coworkers. Depends on the situation that applies the best to you. That example is not confrontational at all. It's just simple communication, and it says, I care about this relationship deeply, and at the same time, I also care about myself. And if someone refuses to meet you in that space of respect and care, then it's time to just take a step back for yourself, not force yourself to prove your point. because it's likely not going to get you anywhere. So people's opinions will never stop, but the power they have over you can. The moment you stop needing their approval, things will change. Because most of the time, their judgment is just a mirror reflecting their pain, their fear, their own limits, not necessarily yours. Because most of the time, people's judgment is a mirror reflecting their pain, their fear, their limits, their life experiences, the things that didn't go well for them, and it's really has nothing to do with you. And when you stop taking it personally and you stop being controlled by it, is when you start focusing on who you want to be, not who you want them to think you are. You start becoming your own person. So if you gotten this far, please remember, you will never live a life that makes everyone else comfortable. So stop trying. Everyone has their own preferences, and some of those people will tell you about what their preferences are and how they want you to fit those, but you don't need to. Caring about what every single random person thinks doesn't make you kind, it makes you far too available to them. You are born to be bold, authentic, free, whatever other word that you want to use, input it here. People's opinions of you will never stop, but their power over you can the moment you stop needing their approval. Because most of the time, their judgment, it's just a mirror reflecting their pain, their fears, their own limits, and their preferences, not yours. And when you stop taking it so personally, you stop being controlled by it. When you start focusing on who you know yourself to be, not who they think you are, you start becoming your own person. So remember, you will never live a life that makes everyone else comfortable. So stop trying. Caring about what every single random person thinks doesn't make you kind. It makes you too available to them. When you stop living for other people's approval, you start living for your own potential.